Welcome back. Now, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa sought yesterday to step up their multilateral engagement as business representatives from each country committed themselves to devising practical ways to leverage the trade and investment opportunities presented by their BRICS membership through the BRICS Business Council. CNBC Africa caught up with Patrice Motsepe, chairman of the council, on the key strategies to unlock investment opportunities in Africa.
There's a sense of urgency amongst all of us that, particularly in relation to these infrastructure projects, I mean, there'll be several hundreds of billions of dollars spent on infrastructure over the next few years. Africa currently spends about 48 billion on infrastructure. There's a shortfall of about 45 billion. And lots of the private sector, companies, financing, corporations, and various, in some instances even governmental, but more so overseas investment partners are coming together to initiate and to partner together. I mean, huge quantities of natural gas has been found in Mozambique and in Tanzania, and as well as in Uganda and Kenya. There's currently lots of exports that's emanating from Angola, oil, to the east, to the rest of the world. We are in South Africa on an aggressive program, an aggressive process as well, to build our infrastructure, to re-industrialize, and to make South Africa a globally competitive destination for investment, as well as to provide jobs. But the focus is on getting things done. We need the development bank to be operational as quickly as possible. Particularly because of these multi-billion-dollar infrastructure projects that we are busy with on the continent. And progress has been made. Many of us run companies where there are shareholders all over the world, and you cannot make promises without fulfilling those promises. I mean, those shareholders are looking at returns. And if ever there's a proof of what you refer to as tangibles, it is the continuous success that and the track record of success and growth for shareholders that we've got to build. But in relation to what is happening within BRICS, it is this creation of an environment where, from an African perspective and from a South African perspective, we can take the process of industrialization forward. In some respects, we are re-industrializing. We are focusing on building manufacturing industries in certain key industries where we've got a global competitive advantage. But I don't think you should worry about whether, as we move forward, we will fall short in relation to the tangibles that we undertake to implement. I mean, we've already made a hell of a lot of progress, and the monthly meetings that we are having will allow us to focus on an ongoing basis in relation to the significant progress we expect to make. We live in a globally competitive world, and South Africa has to prove to be a safe destination for global investment, a competitive destination for global investment. The challenges we have with labor, I'm confident we will resolve, because we have to resolve them. And you know, we are during that time of the period when it's elections next year, and there are certain challenges that the Labour constituency feels that we haven't that we need to improve their wages and ensure that the environments that they live are good for themselves and their families. We are committed to having an environment with Labour that is based on this recognition that it is important that we work together, that we create world-class jobs, and that we continue to ensure that South Africa is assessed to be a good place. I think part of the assessment and the people whose views are very important are our partners. I mean, the chairman of China, the chairman of India, the chairman of Brazil, chairman of Russia, they lead their countries in the BRICS Business Council, and they speak in very laudatory terms in relation to how they have grown from their relationships with South Africa and the fundamental role that South Africa plays in partnering with them on the continent. We are still one of the largest, South African companies are still amongst the most active, the largest investors on the African continent.
Of course, that was BRICS Business Council Chairman Patrice Motsepe talking to us about a BRICS-led bank and how that institution would be able to accelerate the investment opportunities inherent on the African continent, and also talking about the labor challenges which are so important to get right in order for South Africa to retain its position as an attractive investment destination. Now, let's get some insight from BRICS Business Council member Iqbal Survey on some of the strategies they have in mind for dealing with Africa's infrastructure backlog.
It's precisely the aim of the BRICS Bank and precisely the aim of the BRICS Council to put in place the infrastructure that will overcome. So it's a chicken and egg situation, right, isn't it? Historically, people always complained about Africa not having, and some of the other, India, for example, not having the infrastructure to do the kind of things. Because, you know, even farmers, the rural farmers in the remote areas of our continent, they need better roads, they need better logistics, they need better markets to sell their products. Now, it's no good just saying that because it doesn't exist, you're not able to do it. So what we are trying to do with the formation of the BRICS Council is actually say, hold on, let's invest in infrastructure. Let's precisely, as the BRICS countries, let's put in place the power plants that you talk about. Let's put in place other energy sort of resource bases. Let's put in place roads, more roads, transport systems, water systems. So the kind of Africa and the kind of BRICS countries you will see over the next decade will be very, very different. In fact, part of the growth and the excitement of the opportunity in the BRICS countries is precisely because of these investments. However, the caution that we have is not so much whether we're going to do that. Of course we're going to do that. The caution we have is how do we do that in a collective manner where we share experiences across the BRICS countries. Some of the BRICS countries have been incredibly successful. China, for example, has been very, very successful in its infrastructure development program. Brazil has been very successful in its energy and resource efficiency programs. Russia has reindustrialized they're quite a big area in the aircraft industry, and they've gone back into that. So what is our challenge in all of this? Our key challenge is skills-based. Our key challenge that we've identified is having the people to be able to carry out these kinds of projects or these kinds of business enterprises. And that, I must tell you, is one of the key priorities of the BRICS Council, is the exchange of a national skills base and programs, so maybe we have engineers coming from some BRICS countries, training engineers from other BRICS countries. Maybe we have doctors from some BRICS countries, because there was a great project that was identified in Lesotho, a private public sector project in healthcare. And we're saying, you know, that kind of project can take place in other BRICS countries as well.
I'm quite interested in this debate around skills, because I've had it with various South African ministers, including the Minister for Economic Development, Ibrahim Patel, and he's got quite an interesting view on skills. He always says that we keep on saying South Africa doesn't have skills, but if you look, let's say, for example, at certain BMW plants in South Africa, we're rolling off this incredibly impressive car, and we are using South African labor. South African nurses are playing incredible roles in places like your Dubai's and Saudi Arabia's. South African skills, South African university-educated people, South African engineers are building dams everywhere else. It's not like we don't have the skills. Our problem is massifying it and, of course, skills retention. Do you share that view, Dr. Survey?
I do, to a lesser extent, not entirely.
You're not that optimistic?
No, I think one must always, no, I've never said that, by the way. I think one must always unpack what we're saying. Let's first start at the point where we're not saying this is about South Africa. This is about Africa. So when we talk about BRICS on the BRICS Business Council, and the reason why we had some people say 100 African billionaires there yesterday, I don't know, but it could be, was precisely because we're very serious about Africa as part of the BRICS thing. So when we talk about the skill set base, we should think about it in African terms, not in South African terms. In South African terms, I think we've got very specific skills and good skills in certain areas of the economy. However, in other areas of the economy, we may need a hell of a lot more skills.
Right.
And we need to develop those. And there are some industrialization projects where we don't have the skills, to be frank. There's a gap in terms of managerial. So we must also differentiate between technical skills and managerial skills, because sometimes you may have the technical skills, but you may not have the managerial skills to implement.
Well, certainly our project management leaves lots to be desired.
And there are lots of instances where I think we should learn from the challenges that we faced. So I think, but we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Part of what we should, however, do is identify very quickly which is the areas of excellence that we want to be in as South Africa, and also in other parts of the continent, and then make sure we have the necessary skill space for that.